midst of trying to control for some of these columns, there is still some confusion from our users about what to enter, when to enter it. For height, do we round up? Do you use decimal points? So we've tried to address some of those issues or questions that come up a lot in our instructions page, and we have encouraged people to read this. It's not necessarily comprehensive, but it is the type of thing that we figured users would encounter the most. For example, write age as a numeric value. We need that written in a certain way. We provided a complete transcription if they needed an example to start with. Again, I think it won't be surprising to hear that not everybody reads this page, which we knew would happen. And so actually, kind of organically, we've noticed that users are utilizing the notes and questions sort of option on the From the Page platform to communicate with us. And this is actually nice. I would prefer that people reach out to us with the question rather than enter something incorrectly. So you'll see that this user noted something that was important from the document, but didn't quite understand that there's a field for that. And so this information, I responded, could go into the Who Emancipated field. Some users have been using this just on their own, which is fascinating to me, and I'm, again, really appreciating. We might talk about this more at the end, but we will export the notes and keep that for documentation purposes. I didn't provide a screenshot of this example, but some users are actually using this to document things like genealogical information, or if they know more about a person, they have decided to write it in one of these notes field.
How did you have to update your instructions? I'm thinking about things like ditto marks that you might have, is that an example, or what are the other kinds of practices that you had to ask people to do differently? Right.
Yes, Lydia and I spent a long time together working on updating our instructions before this collection went live, because it is so different. So that in the spreadsheet, each row represents one of the people in the register, and we want to make sure that that row is as complete of data as possible. So as opposed to in our usual verbatim transcription projects where you would just enter ditto or enter straight quotes as the original person had done, in the indexing project, again, we want that row to be as complete as possible. So if someone says, yes, this person is also from Chesterfield County, you want to make sure to put that location in their row. So writing that into the instructions was definitely part of our process. And yeah, just going through sort of point by point and making sure that we had addressed how this is different from transcription. Lydia mentioned, I think, age as being another example where people would write out, about 16 or 17, or they might have fractions in there, and we really wanted to control those and make them, as standardized as possible so that people are entering, they're 17.5 years old or whatever it may be. I think height is another field that we've done that way as well, where again, some clerks were extremely precise in how they measured people, whereas others may have been a bit less so. Lydia, are there any other examples that you can think of?
Not particularly. The situation of writing illegible comes up and is tricky because, that's not useful data, but sometimes we really can't tell what the clerk wrote. So we just have to enter illegible and maybe catch it at the review process. So we've been pretty lucky so far that we've been able to identify most of those tricky words and phrases. But an indexing project is obviously different than, I think in verbatim transcription, sometimes we want to try to recreate exactly what the document looks like in terms of writing struck or inserted above, or this is written on the left side of the page. We're trying to create a visual almost for the person that's reading the transcription, and we're not doing that with the indexing project. So That's another kind of thing you have to reorient. I think the user has to kind of remodel their mind around.
I wonder if it's useful also to mention that we wanted to discourage people from making assumptions about any of these people and entering that as data. I think, you know, if you're doing verbatim transcription, you write exactly what it says and you don't have to think about it too much. But if you find yourself sort of transforming that in some way, that almost introduces more possibilities for misinterpretations and mistakes. So we wanted to encourage our volunteers just to follow exactly what is said. I think gender is one of the categories or one of the fields that we were concerned about, because some names may appear to be masculine or feminine to us now that maybe were not at the time. And you just have to be careful to not make assumptions about what's there.
Right.